years. I've known Mark for longer than I've worked here, and he's taught me a lot of stuff. I think we all don't realize how much he supports us and how much he gives us advice. But I think it'll be very apparent the next couple months when he's not here to ask him about something or get direction on what to do.
You can still call him.
You can still call him, and I'm sure we'll be harassing him.
I mean, some of y'all may not realize, but before Tanner worked here, Trimble was the first one he called when he realized he was going to have to be moving from Morgantown. So he called Mark and said, I want to work for y'all.
Yeah, he owed me a favor because he made me give a speech where I had to talk in front of about 500 people. So, but yeah, it's been a pleasure. The people in the annex and the people in the shop that we all work with day in and day out, I don't know if they realize how much you do for us, how much you mean to us. I'm just saddened personally that I don't get to spend the rest of my career with you, but somebody in Chicago, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be happy to be with you. So thank you for everything you've done for me personally, and especially for everybody here at Huntington Steel. You've been great. Teresa, we will also miss you so much. We've kind of had a little bit of a time over the last, 2-3 years to get used to you not being here as much, but I hope you and Mark have the best time in Chicago and come back and see us as much as possible.
It's on the calendar.
TJ, where is TJ?
3 minutes away.
3 minutes away? Okay.
Aggregate crime will go down in Chicago with Mark and Teresa.
The next thing I want to do is a little bit something different. We thought about having a roast, but we were a little worried about how bad it could turn quickly. So I've had Jose write a speech with the help of people in the annex that I have not seen. So I will be hearing it for the first time as I say it. So here we go.
5 seconds delay there.
Yes, if I start laughing, you know it's going to be good. The story of Mark is a long and odd one. Trying to put something like that into a 3-minute summation will not do it justice. But unlike Mark, we will have to get back to work. What do you say about a man who has been there long enough to see guys like Doc and Carl hatch and warm under the glow of the burn table? A man who has been here long enough to retire 2 times but simply refuses to. Rumor has it he was fired 5 years ago but didn't have the nerve to tell Teresa, so he just we all know it was Mike who said, keep a low profile and stay in the upstairs office with the raccoons till we find something you won't mess up.
We were sure one of those raccoons followed him home.
Or was his pet. One of them. Over the years, Trimble did just that. He kept his head down and pushed the broom. He cleaned the toilets and even picked up the phone once, but mostly he walked around. Talked slow and ate bananas. The story goes, they finally found something for Mark to do, but does anyone know what his title is? I'm going to say Trimble was worthless. I'm not going to say. But he is being replaced by a squirrel and a raccoon who coincidentally are also working for Grape Nuts and Bananas. One of my favorite stories about Mark's takes place in the crazy time called the 90s. Things were slow at Huntington Steel, and Mark was moonlighting as an actor to pay for his banana habit. His most memorable role was in the '95 blockbuster movie, Gumby the Movie. This feat itself is enough to have monuments erected in his name, but what's more impressive to me is that when approached by the little-known director Quentin Tarantino about his role in The Most Interesting Man in the World, true company man Mark turned it down because things were picking up again here at Huntington Steel. It was only then that Jonathan Goldsmith accepted the role as the most interesting man in the world. The story of Trimble was far from over, and his biggest contribution to the silver screen was yet to be unearthed. It was later that summer when the director insisted Goldsmith follow Trimble around for a month and get the idea of what might be meant to be the next most interesting man in the world segment. One day, while napping upstairs with his furry friends, Trimble was startled awake by a lunch bell, and coming back from a dream, he uttered, "Stay thirsty, my friends." The raccoon in his arms seemed to understand. Again, the iconic catchphrase was born, and Trimble's legacy in Hollywood was forever cemented. Now, fast forward 15 years, and we find ourselves asking the question, how do you say farewell to a man who invented the wheel so he could use it on the beaches of Normandy? A man who was with Brian Williams when that chopper went down. A man who carved a life out of alabaster using only his soft pink hands and the lid to the pepper shaker. A man who gets things done by simply willing it so. Mark is a man whose resume was so impressive he was considered and hired by AISC. This was of course after turning down a slot at NASA only because of an anomaly on the blood tests. Turns out birdseed contains traces of THC. At least that's what Trimble says. I ask you, how do you bid farewell to such a man? And my answer is to you, you don't. A man like Mark has slid by long enough on the coattails of Seth Burke and deserves no more well-wishing. It's time he fell on his face and learned that the people in Chicago won't abide by his flashy Hollywood slacker way. My earnest request is that we all block his number and never again accept like calls from Trimble messed up, it's a bad. Address Mark directly. Sorry. On a more serious note, partly because I see you starting to choke up from butthurt, Mark, I hope and pray that you know most of this is all good fun. We wouldn't tease you if we didn't like you so much. And too often, the human emotion of sadness is masked with humor and deflection. All right. Good Lord, you went all out? Okay. All too often, the human emotion of sadness is masked. Oh, I did that one. Sorry. There isn't a person here who, upon hearing the news of your departure, was not hit with a feeling of loss. Well, we all were saddened, but moreover excited to know one of our own was about to be thrust upon a grand stage, naked and pale for others to pick on. On the lighted stage, like it or not, we will be there with you in some way or another. During your time on stage, I hope you find yourself caught like a deer in the headlights, speechless and afraid and not knowing what to do. More than that, I hope in that moment you think about us standing up there with you, and for the moment you are no longer afraid but are back here in sunny Huntington, which is the best community in the nation.
It's official.
I think that was hard for you to say,
In this very moment, surrounded by us all, I hope that thought shakes you to your core and you snap out of the deer in the headlights speechlessness and you get your voice back. And if that thought isn't terrifying enough, and just so there's no confusion, there's not a word in the English language that adequately describes the unmerciful badgering you will endure when you see that fluffed up resume of yours come across the desk of human resources after today. You can take comfort in knowing we will hire you again, but your official title will be punching bag. And you will have a uniform consisting of a clown nose and big red shoes. Continuing on a lighter side, Mark, I hope you know deep in your heart this is all good fun. I know I can say these things because I know you won't be back. You won't be back because you didn't know how to fail. I hope you think of us and smile. I hope you remember the faces and the likes of Ronnie, Benny, Jack, Mike, Mark, Wabetta, and myself, and Jose. and the countless other faces who over the years have impressed upon you the good times we have here. Much like the robin redbreast in a cage set all of heaven in a rage, you too were meant to impress upon others the things we have been so fortunate to experience. Except for the time you tried to show us your tattoo, you may want to keep that to yourself. We are also thankful for both the time you and Teresa have shared with us. The two of you have shown us so much more than how to be professional, but how to work together as a team. We look forward to hearing about your shenanigans in the Who's in Jail section of the Chicago Tribune, or the monthly subscription of Modern Metals, whichever comes first. Leave here knowing your time and service will not soon be forgotten, depending on how fast we train the squirrel and the raccoon, of course. No, we all will be pulling for the skinny, birdseed, and banana-fueled kid from Kentucky. In closing, I raise my glad to you and propose glass to you. Misspelled. I raise my glass to you and propose a toast. One fancy and not so. For the first, we will pretend that we're all in a ballroom dressed in our finest and that this is a crystal glass filled with fancy champagne, not water. Mr. Trimble, I raise my glass to you in success that you've had. Raise my glass for the life you lived and will live, and a toast to bid farewell to you. Wish you the very best of luck and on a path laid before you. And now, a toast to bring us back to reality. I raise my red Solo cup, filled with what could be tea or rum, dressed in our Thursday best, and most every one of us smelling like rust or metal sweat. Meat sweats, I'm sorry. It could have gone well. I raise my glass to you and say, Mr. Trimble, a man to be feared, and looked at much like a dog looks at something he does not understand. Which to this day, with a tilted head, confused and bewildered. Good luck to you, you turd. Don't come back without a good story. All right, who's next?
Trimble?
Raymond Reverne at one.
Frank Reverne. I've got copies.
Mike asked me what, and I think he was asking me what I was feeling like earlier today. And so, to help me get through what I'm going to do, I'm going to read some things. But I want to start off by saying that the one thing about being at Huntington Steel for the 25 years that I've been here is that you come to work at a place and you know some stuff, but you don't know enough stuff. The longer you stay, the more you learn. And then if you stay long enough, people think that you're actually smarter than you are. So when Tanner Jose through Tanner said that quite often people come to me and ask me questions, it's because I've been here a long time, and I probably have some smarts about me, but really what I have is a lot of experience here. So I want to, instead of telling you some kind of a story to make you tear up, what I want to do is I'm going to tell you some of the things that I've learned and who I've learned them from. So this will take a few minutes, probably not as long as Jose's document, but one of the things that occurred when it became sort of public that I was leaving, Seth Burt came into my office and he told me, he said, I have a present for you. What I'm going to do is every day I'm going to come into your office and I'm going to tell you one thing that I learned from you that's helped me along the way. And he did that. And so, and I have those statements and I will share them with you, but not today because I need to get through the list of other things that I've learned. And so I'll start with Seth. This is what Seth taught me. He taught me that I better watch the things that I say and do because people are listening and watching. That applies to every one of us. We think that people don't watch and they don't listen, but they always do. So the way you act and the things you say does really matter. Carl Jemison taught me that sometimes if you want someone to do something for you, it's often good to start off with a compliment.
It's the smartest man I know.
He's on the wrong line,
Yeah.
and everything.
Mark Ruthford, he taught me that when you think you have thought about every possible solution to a problem, talk with someone else, generally him, because there is usually one more option to consider. Paul Prince. Paul taught me that working methodically and consistently will bring great results. Being in a hurry is not worth the time you think you will save. Teresa Trimble. This is a dangerous one.
Say everything.
She taught me that when there's a large project in front of you and you feel overwhelmed, just start chipping away at it, small chunks at a time, and before you realize it, you'll be finished. And a lot of us know what it feels like to be overwhelmed with the work in front. And sometimes you just sit there and stare at it. Quite often better just to start doing something. Roy Maynor, who was my first boss when I came here, who had the job that Tanner currently has, he taught me that when you do your engineering designs, do it so you'll be able to sleep at night. Rich English taught me that you need to establish due dates for everything that you do and communicate the dates to whomever needs to know. That way people will have the same expectation. Frank Gear, who was an estimator here, who was here when I came, he taught me that people really do appreciate being reminded that it's their birthday. And for those of you here, he would come over the intercom and say, "Now hear this, now hear this." And he would read a limerick or a poem that he wrote about you on your birthday.
But he said birthday.
Birthday, B-I-R. Okay, Ronnie Hoos. Ronnie Hoos taught me that the joy and pain of life comes in waves. Your faith in God is often the only thing that sustains you. A few more. Those of you who I've mentored, and you know who you are, and those of you who I have, those of you who've come to me and asked me about advice about your career or your personal life, this is for you. What you've taught me is that the effort that I put in working with you, working whether it be with your career or with your personal lives, it's always been worth it for me. So whatever time you sat in my office and you wondered, you had a question, it was important to me, and it was always worthwhile. Mike Emerson taught me this, amongst many other things. He taught me that a strong passion to learn is extremely valuable, and that putting all of your focus into a new task or a new hobby is one of the most wonderful experiences in life. Smoked meats are just one of those examples. Working here the past 25 years has taught me that there is indeed a cycle of life, and that everything that happens in its due season. My season here is coming to a close, and I want you to know that your dedication to Huntington Steel and to each other is what has made my experience here so worthwhile. So, may God bless you.
TJ.
to be a little bit hard for me, but these people in front of you have made a tremendous impact on this company. Everybody knows that has worked with any of them that they're dedicated, they're honest, and they're hardworking. And I don't want to diminish anything about them leaving, but what I want to say is I feel the same way about everybody that's in this room. Because it takes all of us to make these things work, and they all have special skills that we're going to have trouble replacing. Okay? But so does every single person in this room. This is what makes this a company. And the reason this is so hard is because we are close and have a really good work environment. And I wish them all the best. Every person that works here and has worked here makes decisions that is the best for them and their family. And that's what these people are doing. We're going to miss them dearly. And I want to thank them for everything.
We have some gifts for them. We're not going to make them open in front of us. And we have cards and that kind of stuff. But as far as the meeting, we're done. Love you guys. Back to work.